Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I'm here today with a video that I'm really excited about. I don't know, the topic and what I'm about to do in this video seemed very exciting to me, and because of that and that only, I want to share this with you. In this video, I will be talking about associating Greek gods with books and book titles. Some of these books I'm associating with these Greek gods solely based on their titles, and some because of the content and some because of both. And I'm super excited for you to watch this. So in this video I'm taking 15 Greek gods, and based on who they are and what they do and who they are as people, I am associating them with 15 books or book titles. It might seem a little too extra, but I was in the mood for something extra this time, and I thought, why not do this? This has been brewing in my mind for about 4 months now, and I finally got around to getting books for all of these gods. That's where I was stuck. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this video, and let me share with you something that I'm super excited for you to see. Okay, so we're starting off strong with the god, obviously Zeus. And you know what, this was the only god who I got an answer to immediately like this. I want to say I don't know why, but I know why. The book that I associated with Zeus is The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F by Mark Manson. As you all know, Zeus is the king of all gods, and he has a roving eye, and he doesn't give a crap about what anybody thinks of him. I mean, yes, he is all this god of justice, and he makes the decisions and etc, but he just doesn't give an F. Plus, he's always running behind people who aren't his wife. So there's another pun in that title over there. So I was like, okay, this works on 2 levels, and this is a perfect pairing. Second is Hera, who is the goddess of women, marriage, childbirth, and also happens to be the sister and the wife of Zeus. And I have a book in mind for this, but I feel like even though Hera is the goddess of women, marriage and childbirth, or maybe because of it and because of generations of patriarchy who has been telling stories, Hera is also portrayed as someone who is jealous and vengeful of all the lovers, all the people that Zeus has ever been with. Zeus has a roving eye, and Hera suffers because of that, but she is jealous, she is vengeful, and she does some really bad things, as we see in the books, in the myths. So because of that, I associated Hera with My Sister, the Serial Killer by Owen Braithwaite, and I'm just going to stop it at that, because we know what Hera is capable of. She is powerful, she is a powerful goddess. We don't know the lengths, the extent to which Hera can go, or we do know. Next is Poseidon, god of the sea or of water in general, and for this I have The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, and I think that is pretty fitting. That's pretty perfect. I don't have to explain anything else. I don't have to say why I chose this. See, Poseidon, House in the Cerulean Sea. There we go. And this is only because of the title. Next is Hades, who is the god of the underworld. He's supposed to be a very grumpy man, and he's a grumpy god, and he rules over his subjects with a tight fist. But he also softens, and he does fall in love. He does love some of the people around him, and he shows it in weird, strange ways, but he does love. So for that, when we bring grumpy into the equation, we have a very good contender for this, and that is A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Backman. A Man Called Uwe is a story of Uwe, obviously, and how he is a grumpy old man. He's living alone, he hates the world, he has a problem with everything that anybody does, but when neighbors move into the house across from his, he sort of starts to become something else. So I feel like Uwe and Hades are such a neat fit together, and I was like, perfect. Next is the goddess of wisdom, who is Athena. And for this, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Because there's so much wisdom in that book. The Midnight Library, one of my favorite books of all time. It doesn't have to tell you something new. It can be something you know, and yet it can be something that is so profound that it will affect your life in different ways. And I feel like this book and Athena would be a perfect match. I feel like Athena would agree with everything that the Midnight Library says, and yes, this feels just about right. Next is Demeter, the goddess Demeter, who is the goddess of agriculture. And for her, I have chosen Karno's Daughter by Grimly Sengupta. In Karno's Daughter, we are talking about a woman who is a maid to, I think this is a memoir of sorts, and the woman who is a maid and who also to support her family, she has farm, she does agriculture in her village. Next is Demeter's daughter, Persephone, who is the goddess of spring. And what does spring bring? It brings hope. And with that, I'm segueing into the book that I have for Persephone, and that is Where Hope Comes From by Nikita Gill. Nikita Gill, I think I've spoken so much about her, and I cannot shut up about how amazing she is, about how amazing her writing is, and the kind of hope, the power, and just the kindness and compassion that she gives the reader while she is talking about so many amazing subjects. And I just feel like this is one book that brings spring into my life whenever I read it. And for that matter, any of Nikita Gill's books, even her tweets, I read with a big grin on my face. So I feel like Where Hope Comes From is a perfect fit for the goddess of spring, Persephone, because Persephone and Nikita Gill both are such harbingers of hope and everything beautiful in this world. And I just felt goosebumps. Oh, hold on a second. Yes. Next is Apollo, who is the sun god, and he's also the god of poetry. And for that, I have The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. In The Poet X, the main character wants to be a slam poet, and I don't think there's anything else that I have to say, because god of poetry, The Poet X. Next is Artemis, goddess of the hunt, goddess of the chase, and for that I have Fight Like a Girl by Clementine Ford. Fight Like a Girl is a non-fiction book in which Clementine Ford lists out all the ways in which wrongs are being done towards women every single day, and the privilege that men hold in this world, and how the term fighting like a girl is always seen as a derogatory thing. But Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, she is such a powerful goddess. We know her power, we know what she is capable of, and we know that fighting like a girl isn't derogatory. It's in fact one of the biggest compliments you can ever give anybody. It's making me like full motivated for some reason. I don't know why. Motivated for what? I don't know why. Next is Ares, the god of war. And for that, I have another very simple answer which I will not explain because it's so simple. And that is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. The Art of War is an old text in which Sun Tzu talks about war tactics and how you should behave in a war and all of that. And obviously, as the god of war, I feel like he will know everything related to the art of war and everything related to it. So this is perfect. I don't know why I had to go and explain that, but because it's so obvious. But yeah, it's just me. Next is Hephaestus, who is the god of fire, and I have two books for him actually, but both of them are only because of the titles, not because of their content, so you have to keep this in mind. The first is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo again, and I feel like With the Fire on High fits perfectly with what Hephaestus does. And the second is from his origin story, from his story when Hera gave birth to him, and on finding out that he was ugly, kicked him off Olympus. So for this, I have Remnants of a Separation by Aanchal Malhotra. I feel really bad. But when you come to think of it, Hephaestus, after having been kicked off Olympus as a baby, he grew up to become the god of fire. And Remnants of a Separation is a story of people who were kicked out of their homes because of the partition, and they had to move to places they never really knew. They had to give up their homes, and they restarted life. So I feel like it still fits perfectly, but I still feel really bad for associating both of them together. Next is Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and it's pretty straightforward, this one as well. And that is Love Story by Eric Segal, which is a love story, one of the most famous love stories out there. And to associate both the title and the work, the story itself, with the goddess of love is, I feel, very fitting. Next is Hermes, who is the thief god. I mean, he is also a messenger god, but for this purpose, I'm using his identity as a thief god, and for that I am associating the book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Of course, Liesel's situation or circumstances are way too different, and what she does, why she does, is completely different. But look at the title, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, for Hermes, the thief god, or the god thief. No, not the god thief, that's completely different. Thief god, yes. Next is Dionysus. The first thing that comes to mind when you say Dionysus is wine. He is the god of wine, okay, fine. But what he is generally known as is the god of pleasure. So, just in name only, I'm associating the book The Heart Asks Pleasure First with Dionysus, because that's what Dionysus is. Before anything else in the whole wide world, all he says is pleasure. I want fun and games. So this title of the book, not the content, and Dionysus, perfect fit, came together like this. And I was like, I need to give a disclaimer, because this book is not all about pleasure. Last but not the least, and very fittingly so in my opinion, and I'm pretty proud of it, is Hestia, who is the goddess of home and hearth. Hestia, I feel like, who is one of the most important important gods ever, and to have that home and hearth with you when everything else is done, everything else is gone. It's a very fitting one. She is the last Olympian to whom everybody turns to for peace, for solutions, and for answers. And I feel like the book that I have chosen for Hestia is perfect. Another Nikita Gill book, which is Fierce Fairy Tales. Fairy tales are something that you've listened to at home. Your parents have told you, your grandparents have told you. Somehow it brings you that realization, that memory of home, that nostalgia of being in your own home, maybe sitting by the fireside, maybe curled up in bed with a book, sitting with your family, trading stories, talking about life in general. And Nikita Gill's book is one that will give a twist to the fairy tales that you've known as a child, and it will give you hope. And it's, I think, a perfect fit, because even though you think, when you think of home and hearth, you think of peace, but that peace, that safe haven is powerful, more powerful than almost anything in the whole wide world. And because of that, it's fierce, and because of all the memories associated with it, Fierce Fairy Tales, perfect fit. So that was me associating Greek gods with book titles and books. What did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What are some associations that you would make with Greek gods and books and book titles? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.